Radio Biafra International, empowering the people.
Adeso Yerudo, Jehovah Chukwu Yerudo. Chukwu Yerudo, Jehovah Chukwu Yerudo.
Radio Biafra is proud to launch its new mobile app. This app makes it easier for listeners to access live and repeat broadcasts at any given time. The app is available on Android and Apple stores and is free to install, so just search for Radio Biafra into all one word to get the app on your device.
Radio Biafra International broadcasts are always anchored on well-researched information and not based on personalities, frivolities, and foul languages. The main objective of Radio Biafra International is to empower Biafrans and give them knowledge through professionally delivered information, education, and enlightenment towards the ultimate goal of restoration of the nation of Biafra.
So don't forget, Radio Biafra into all one word.
And join us during our podcasts and you'll be glad you did.
Stop spending time with the wrong people. Life is too short to spend time with people who suck the happiness out of you. If someone wants you in their life, they'll make room for you. You shouldn't have to fight for a spot. Never ever insist yourself to someone who continuously overlooks your worth. And remember, it's not the people that stand by your side when you're at your best, but the ones who stand beside you when you're at your worst that are your true friends. Stop trying to be someone you're not. One of the greatest challenges in life is being yourself in a world that's trying to make you like everyone else. Someone will always be prettier. Someone will always be smarter. Someone will always be younger. But they will never be you. Don't change so people will like you. Be yourself, and the right people will love the real you. Stop trying to hold on to the past. You cannot start the next chapter of your life if you keep rereading the last one. Stop being scared to make a mistake. Doing something and getting it wrong is at least 10 times more productive than doing nothing. Every success has a trail of failures behind it, and every failure is leading towards success. You end up regretting the things you did not do far more than the things you did. Stop getting involved in relationships for the wrong reasons. Relationships must be chosen wisely. It is better to be alone than to be in bad company. There's no need to rush. If something is meant to be, it will happen at the right time, with the right person, and for the best reason. Stop rejecting new relationships just because old ones didn't work. In life, you'll realize that there's a purpose for everyone you meet. Some will test you, some will use you, and some will teach you. But most importantly, some will bring out the best in you. Stop trying to compensate against things that are not there. And stop trying to compete against everyone else. Don't worry about what others are doing better than you. Concentrate on beating your own records every day. Success is a battle between you and yourself only. I just have to repeat this. This warrants a repeat. Stop trying to compete against everyone else. Don't worry about what others are doing better than you. Concentrate on beating your own records every day. Success is a battle between you and yourself only. Life is too short to spend time with people who suck the happiness out of you. If someone wants you in their life, they'll make room for you. You shouldn't have to fight for a spot. Never ever insist yourself to someone who continuously overlooks your worth. And remember, it's not the people that stand by your side when you're at your best, but the ones who stand beside you when you're at your worst that are your true friends.
Radio Biafra International, empowering the people.
Good day, fellow Biafrans and listeners all over the world. This is Radio Biafra International. Once again, good day, listeners, Biafrans all over the world. This is Radio Biafra International, brought to you by the Biafran Restoration Movement. You can get us through different platforms such as internet, Facebook, YouTube, RBI app, TuneIn app. We're on satellite. That's what we mean. And we urge you to also Google Radio Biafra International. That will bring you into a site where you can get all the directions that you need to be in contact and to listen in. Today is Friday, the 5th of June, 2020. We are in the 21st century. And we are bringing to you the broadcast of today regarding our cause for freedom as Biafrans. And before we get started, I would like to keep to our tradition of prayer before we start. For we are a spiritual people. We are not religious, but we are spiritual, because it seems religion is more attached to simply institutional objectives rather than the objectives that delivers the soul, the objective of salvation, and which we believe in truth. And we recommend the Bible as the authority of the Word of God, which all men who need salvation ought to go to for theirs. So we will pray as a people, for we know that we're on this journey on this earth, not out of our own making, for we didn't create ourselves, as is obvious, and we are not, to say, the determinants of our fate, even though our choices will work a lot into determining that. So let us pray. Praise be to the Lord, the God of Israel, because he has come and has redeemed his people. He has raised up a horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David, our own brother. As he said through the holy prophets of long ago, salvation from our enemies and from the hand of all who hate us, to show mercy to our fathers, and to remember his holy covenant, the oath he swore to our father Abraham, to rescue us from the hand of our enemies and to enable us to serve him without fear, in holiness and righteousness before him all our days. Amen. My name is Odi Moalo. I'm the broadcast anchor today. And with me is an array of educated and informed Biafran panelists, as we have usually done. And they are here to help us analyze and give different perspectives to urgent matters of the day. We inform, we educate, we persuade, but we do not entertain. So we enjoin you to listen in as we discuss very salient issues that border on our existence, border on our progress, border on our development as a people, border on our growth, borders on our freedom as a people. For we are a people. We are a people. And it is not out of our own making, but it's how God has made the world. Just as we have different personalities, we have ethnic nations, languages. While we advocate peace in human interaction and human development, we also advocate justice for everybody. For without justice, it is difficult to have peace. Today we have issues that have made our existence as Biafrans in Nigeria to be very taut. In other words, it is tensive. But that tension has not, didn't start yesterday. It is something that existed for quite a long time, particularly in the advent of the British expeditionaries and colonists in that part of the world. And we are seeking solutions to it. That the relationship between disparate peoples who have been cobbled up in such a geopolitical contraption is a problem to their very lives, is a problem to their peaceful existence. And the solution must be found. Today, we have on the news very important information which every Biafran must be concerned about. If you love yourself, you love your family, you love your children, your brothers and sisters, your community, your people, your land, you must pay attention to this. If you don't, it will be to just our own detriment, generally as a people. So but your attention is very important. And that's why we crave it. Because it is what God will use to solve this problem as we move on. It cannot be solved without you, and it cannot be solved without your attention. Whether you are from Akwa Ibom State, or you are from Cross River State, or you're from Anambra State, or you're from Imo State, or you're from Enugu State, or you're from Ebonyi State, or you're from Abia State, or you're from Rivers State, or you're from Bayelsa State, or you're from Delta State, or you're from Edo State. These particular states, you will be affected even worse if we do not pay attention to what is going on. And we are happy that many are paying attention already. Make sure that as you do so, that you inspire those around you, your relatives and your friends, to pay attention to these issues, because they border on our very security right in our ancestral land. Today we read the news from The Sun, and it says, herdsmen occupy 400 Igbo communities. Rights group, human rights group said so. And it's news for today, the 5th of June, 2020. International Society for Civil Liberties and Rule of Law, Inter-Society, yesterday announced that the number of Igbo communities forcefully invaded and taken over by jihadist herdsmen has hit 400. In its last report, Inter-Society revealed that about 350 communities in Igbo land have been forcefully invaded and permanent camps erected by the jihadist groups. In an update signed by the group's board chairman, Emeka Umeagbalasi, head International Justice and Human Rights Ndidiamaka Bernard, and 3 others. The group said the figure has increased by 50. The number of Igbo communities, villages, and other locations occupied by the jihadist herdsmen has now risen to about 400, from 350 reported in our research report of May 27, 2020. In our latest updates, 368 Igbo communities have been identified and 32 dark figures added, bringing the total to not less than 400. With our latest updates, Enugu State still tops the list with 92, Anambra 87, Imo 64, Abia 47, Ebonyi 41, Igbo Delta 22, and Igbo Rivers 15. While Enugu State has addition of 20 communities, Anambra has 17, Imo 3, Abia 4, Ebonyi 5, Delta Igbo 1, and Igbo Rivers 0. This list may end up hitting 450 communities, meaning that the herdsmen and their imported allies will have in the end occupied over 2 states and a half in Igbo land. Presently, there are 189 autonomous communities in Anambra State, 187 in Enugu, and about 122 in Ebonyi, totaling 498 autonomous communities. The group said in the statement. Inter-Society, however, lamented the killing of Christians in southern Kaduna by the herdsmen and called on relevant authorities to stop the killing. The latest jihadist attacks have brought to about 116 Christians, including women and children, hacked to death since the beginning of January 2020. The yesterday's dastardly act took place in Tudundoka in Kaduna Kachia Road in Kajuru local government area of Kaduna State at about 5:45 a.m. in the morning of June 3, 2020, the group said. Now, another news talks about insecurity. Southeast House of Assembly moved to enact laws for regional security. Archbishop Obinna tackles Southeast governors. In a bid to strengthen the security architecture in southeastern states of Nigeria in the midst of looming security threat, the houses of assembly of the 5 states that make up the southeast geopolitical zone have commenced the process of enacting laws in line with the proposed Southeast Joint Security Program. Recall that the Southeast governors have been under severe pressure and criticism from Ndibo at home and in diaspora for not floating a regional security outfit following the emergence of Amotekun floated by the Southwest governors. Even though, for example, in Enugu, the State House Assembly said it has commenced work towards enacting a law for the establishment of this local security outfit, Forest Guard, just as other states are working on theirs, with the aim of a possible harmonization of the laws to form a regional security outfit for the zone. The lawmakers in Anambra are yet to begin any action. An official of the House said yesterday there has not been any action on the enactment of law for Southeast. This may be because the lawmakers are waiting for the governors in the zone to take a stand on the way forward, as was done by their counterparts in the Southwest. However, the Catholic Bishop of Awka Diocese, Most Reverend Paulinus Eze Okafor, has called for the establishment of strong security forces to protect the people in view of the series of attacks and killings of Christians. As Okafor said, human beings are being slaughtered regularly by terrorists who are suspected to have targeted the Christian. Security of life and property can no longer be guaranteed in Nigeria, he complained. And Archbishop Obinna tackles Southeast governors. Meantime, the Catholic Archbishop of Were, Most Reverend Anthony Obinna, has called on the Southeast governors and Igbo leaders to protect Igbo from an imminent threat to wipe them out and take over their houses and lands. Archbishop Obinna, who was obviously making reference to the recent influx of northern youths to the Southeast states, bemoaned the treatment being meted out to Igbo in Nigeria. Lamenting the fate of Igbo in Nigeria, Obinna said, in the midst of fear, panic, and anxiety caused by the coronavirus pandemic, it is unfortunate, sad, and very distressing that our people are being subjected to vicious threats and acts of invasion, massacre, and sack from herdsmen from the northern part of Nigeria. According to him, the hatred against Igbos in Nigeria had already been demonstrated through Nigeria's brutal war against Igbos, who had decided to live on their own as Biafrans away from a Nigeria that has rejected them with so many merciless killings in cold blood. Not satisfied with defeating us in an uneven war, there is this threat to wipe out the Igbos and take over our God-given homes and lands. Archbishop Obinna warned them against not taking the threat seriously. He said he had already spoken to Imo State Governor, Senator Hope Uzodinma, on the vexed issue, hence the need to extend the conversation to other Southeast governors and other Igbo leaders. Quote, having already spoken to Governor Hope Uzodinma on these threats, I hereby publicly charge him to recognize that it is his primary duty as the Chief Security Officer of Imo State to protect the lives of Imo people, their homes and their land. Your Excellency, your voice should be loud and clear on this life and death issue. I equally charge other Igbo governors and all Igbo leaders at various levels to protect our people, our homes, and our lands. I urge all our people to rise up in prayers to God, in vigilance, and in legitimate self-defense. The right to life, to our homes, and to our lands is God-given. The right to life, to our homes and our lands is God-given. The right to life, to our homes and our land is God-given. May God, as Supreme Protector and Defender, come to our aid, the Catholic Bishop stressed. So this is some of the very frontline news in terms of importance, urgency to us as a people, as Biafrans. And I would like to bring in our panelists to please, speak on this, because as you can see, there are 400 now, estimate of 400 Fulani settlements of not just ordinary people. These are people who are known to be killers, mass killers, genociders, terrorists. And we have seen how the government of Nigeria has been seized by a certain people, and they're massacring people everywhere. Christians in particular are targets. Now they are coming down to the south to fulfill Uthman Danfodio's words regarding our land, that they will take it over. And for those who do not know what Uthman Danfodio's words were like, I would like to read it again to your hearing. The famous, quote of Uthman Ahmadu Bello, about he was reflecting on Uthman Danfodio, who was the conquest leader who came into this area called Nigeria in 1804 and began to take over all the northern indigenous lands, kingdoms, and impose their leaders upon them. And he says here, quote, this nation called Nigeria should be an estate of our great-grandfather, Uthman Danfodio. We must ruthlessly prevent a change of power. We use the minorities in the north as willing tools and the south as conquered territory, and never allow them to rule, to have control over their future. This is Ahmadu Bello, the Sultan of Sokoto, speaking and quoted by Parrot Magazine of Wednesday, October the 12th, 1960. So I would like to invite my sister, Oziomeme, to give us her views on the current dangers that our people are facing in our homeland. It is terrible to watch developments to the point that those who will kill us are now, who are killing us, not will, are now, have almost 400 quarters in Biafra land. Why should we stand and just be watching this to happen? With every excuse in the world. Some say, oh, well, we don't want to fight. We cannot fight. So the alternative then is to now stand and be killed. They say, oh, well, you shouldn't fight. You cannot kill. And some people have quoted even thou shalt not kill in the Bible, even though it meant thou shalt not murder. Yet God has sent the Israelites to kill people who are anti-God. So what is it? Could you please speak on this, my sister?
Thank you, Mazi Odemoral. This is a very important topic, and I thank all my fellow panelists. My take on this, we've been talking about this for months, even years, since Biafra restoration started and RBI started. We've been talking about this, but now it has progressed to so much that they can't deny it anymore. Even those of them that are sleeping, it's right there in their face, in their faces. So what are they? They're still waiting on the dormant, docile government they have in Imo State and all the other states involved, all the eastern states, all the governors. It's now written on the wall that they are part of the problem. The friend of your enemy is your enemy. They need to get that screwed into their head. The governors are not fighting for them. They are fighting for themselves. Hold on. So, hold on, give me a minute. Good morning.
What are you doing? God bless you.
Thank you, God bless you too. The governors are not fighting for them, they are fighting for themselves and their pockets. And they have to get it straight. It's high time they all go on the street. I don't know, they're waiting for them to come and they will go to each house and kill them individually. But when you go in a crowd, when there's a lot of you, go to those offices and throw out all those governors if you can't do any other thing. Start your own security in your area, in your village. You don't need their permission. They are not for you. People say they're waiting for the governor to give them what permission? The permission he's given it to their to the Fulanis to kill you. That's the permission he's already given. And you're going to stand there and wait for them to come and kill you? If people use the example that they cannot kill, excuse me? So Jesus said to sit there and watch somebody behead you and your family, rape your daughters, and you do nothing? No. You have to fight for your existence, for your survival. Even the apostles were fighting until death. What are you guys doing? You're just sitting there sleeping, like you have nothing else to do other than just wait until your killer comes in. The sooner you all do something, the better. Get up, get out of your slumber and get out on the streets and go to the governor's office and demand for what you need. And if they are not giving it, take it. Because if you need anything and you want something bad enough, you will take it. And that's what Jesus approved. You take what you need to survive. You have to defend yourself. And it's at that point right now. So you all need to work in tandem, work in a group, the villages. Do what you need to do to protect yourself. Stop waiting on the governors. They are not governing you. They are not protecting you. They have already said so in different ways. They have said it by, they may not have said it by words, but they have said it by their actions. And action speaks louder than words. And then they'll come on the whatever and tell you guys something different than what they are doing. And what they are doing is as there as light. You can see it. What am I? I'm suggesting that you all get together and start fighting these people back. They are wimps. All you need to do is resist them. That's what God said. Resist the devil and he will flee from you. But now you guys are not resisting the devil. You're allowing the devil come in and you're giving them some milk and food and meat to eat and grow fat. I don't know what else to say. I mean, we've said it several times on this radio station. United, we all fight together and win this war. Divided, we will all go down. You all know that. But for Biafra to come, we're not going down. It doesn't matter how long it takes. We will continue to fight until we win. And it doesn't matter how long it takes. Even if it's one person standing, we will continue to fight. Because we don't want our future generation to be in this mess. We need to finish the fight and clean it up and get them out of our area. And if it includes making the governors are a part of them, they all need to go too. And go to the north or whatever, Futajelon, where they come from, and go there and live with them. We don't need enemies in our land. If the governors are enemies, then so be it. Let them move on with their friends and go and leave us alone. And that's all I'm saying at this point. Thank you, Majo.
Thank you so much.
For giving me the room to should I say, to vent my whatever, or rant or whatever it is. But thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, because people are listening to you, and some people will listen to you for the first time. That's why sometimes we harp on these issues, because some people have had it over and over. The message definitely has gone into them, but there are some who will be listening to it for the first time as we're broadcasting now, and they need to understand the seriousness and the weight of the matter, that we as a people are under the danger of complete destruction if we do not do something urgently to ensure that we protect ourselves. Mazi Ejiofor Chinawata, I would like you to speak on this, because this is 400. I mean, unbelievable. When I read this, was 400 herdsmen has occupied 400 Igbo communities. 400. That's a lot. And I think the Igbo communities in total we have is about 498. Is that totally 498 autonomous communities? Okay. Because it says there's 189 autonomous communities in Anambra, there's 187 in Enugu, and about 122 in Ebonyi, totally 498 autonomous communities, the group said in a statement. So 400 communities, I don't know what is left of the rest of Igbo land, and it shows that there is a premeditated plot to exterminate us as a people a second time. And in our people's mind, it's always, I don't want to fight. We are not at war. Let us avoid war at all costs. And their enemies are listening to these things they're saying. And the enemies know from what they are saying that these people don't want any war. So they are the next target, obviously, because you're saying that your enemy wants war and you don't. And who wants war? Everybody wants, but we want justice too. You know, so to come to our land and kill us in the name of what? You know, it has to be resisted. As a lot of people are saying, and for those who are not listening, remember that, you know, it's not just us that are saying this. It is in terms of historical facts as proven, and even up till today, you know, series of killings going on in Nigeria. And some Christians, look at these archbishops now speaking up. Some Christians are just deaf to it. They just don't, you know, they don't even condemn it. They prefer to hide in the name of peace. You know, just hide yourself in the name of peace. But people are slaughtered. Christians are dying. Yes, we'll pray. You must pray because it is important to pray. Without praying, you will get out there on your own if you're fighting. But you have to pray to your God. But then I don't know whether God of Christians is simply raising cowards. Is it what Christianity is all about now? Cowardice? Is that what we're being taught subliminally by the devil? That we all have to be cowards in the name of, and then use peace to cover that cowardice because we want peace, you know? Please, I will want you to, you know, add your voice to this, you know, because it's getting worse, it seems. Yeah. It's getting worse. So I would like Mazi Jofochina, if I can be connected to him, to speak on the issue of constant menace that we are dwelling with as a people. And it seems that so many of us have not come to a conclusive, you know, to conclude within themselves. You know, in Igbo, they call it baby. On how do you handle this? Make up your mind on this issue. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much, my brother. I don't know if I'm coming out clearly.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, very well. We have been speaking on this matter time after time without
you're not coming out clearly. Maybe you get your phone closer to yourself if you can.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, now speaking about this year after year, time after time, and without number, the operative word is ruthlessly. Ruthlessly, that is the operating word. And our people seem not to be hearing whatever anyone is saying, no matter how we shout, no matter how we call upon their attention as what is to happen, they seem not to understand or maybe appreciate the intensity or maybe the possibility of this never coming to Igbo land. Remember when it was happening in northeastern part of Nigeria, they called it Boko Haram. And we were saying, our people, get ready. It's going to come down where you are. That is what makes Europeans different from Africans, because they don't empathize. They don't seem to understand that even maybe somebody else, if you fail to react, eventually whatever is happening to that person will get to you. So when Northeast had problems and the churches are being burned and the Christians are being evicted from their, a lot of people call it terrorists. They call it, okay, these are terrorist actions. And Buhari came and said the attack on this Boko Haram is attack on the north. Our people ignored it. And Buhari came and said that inshallah, that all over Nigeria, and our people kept mute. And Buhari came. When he landed in Igbo land, what did Igbo people do? He Igbo people went and made him Okechukwu of Igbo land. Obuagu one of Igbo land. And then I asked myself a question. Only Igbo Bikono, is it the Kedonye Gap who will volunteer to die for people that think like this? No. That you and people say, if I get me, some people will even tell you, I don't want you to speak. But this thing has been festering. And people have been talking about this all this way. And now people are looking the other way and put their head in the sand as if it will never get here. What is the solution? The solution is now we have educated people, so-called educated people. I think we have to the rightful position to govern Igbo land, or maybe to govern Biafra. And yet, I don't see these people writing in the community. I don't see these people making a very serious campaign against attending genocide on their own people. I don't see these people writing UN, or maybe writing American government, or maybe writing EU. Let the world know that danger is in the land. None of this is happening. Everybody is afraid of maybe losing a French with Sokoto, or maybe losing the likeness, or maybe French for Muhammadu Buhari, or maybe Alhaji, Ekusi Agwan. So that is the problem. Until people and Biafrans understand that they have their own destiny in the hand. Because they remember now, even Christianity said, let there be on earth as it is in heaven. The devil himself, the Satan himself, and the angel Michael, they fought in heaven. So there is war in heaven that took Satan or out of heaven. I don't know why our people, maybe religious sector of people, we cannot fight a war. We don't want a war, and somebody bring the war to what are you going to do? These people have brought the war so many times to us. And for them, if you do 1/3 of what they have done to us, they will call it provocation and they will go to war with you. So people are afraid, or maybe scared, or maybe chickens, or maybe hoping that a miracle there will be a miracle in heaven. Have they said, Imo said, Anambra said, God is going to send the angels. Okay, so let's go to church and pray the angels, then angels and take a hand of every.
You're breaking up. You're breaking up.
Take it back to you.
Okay. Hopefully you will be maybe stable after a while, and then the communication can get through. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for that analysis. Thank you. Okay, our own Chuks Ikediwe. Please, I would like you to speak on this. 400 settlements of terrorists in Igbo land. They've been slaughtering, raping, destroying, but then you have 400 of them, and everybody's just looking for what? For some sort of magic to happen. Governors, we don't want to challenge the government. They have the military, they have the arms, they will kill us. So at the end of the day, there is no option. People, just looking. So, if they're recruiting more Boko Haram people into the army and the police. So, they're just getting ready. They're moving from step 1 to 2 to 3, just like that. And then we're just looking. I mean, I'm like, God have mercy on us at this point in time. We need God's miracle. But we need to wake up ourselves. Do we have to just sleep? And then some people will say, oh, well, they're abroad, they're inciting people at home. These are the talks that you see what people conjure, and that is why nothing happens. Because pretty soon, that person who is abroad, you say is inciting you at home, oh, come home and fight if you want to fight and all this. He will keep quiet on you and walk away and do his business. At the end of the day, when that slaughter comes, the same people will turn around and say, oh, those people abroad, they didn't do anything. They didn't even speak. They didn't, so this contradiction that is in our people, how devil, how did the devil do this type of thing to us? That he gives us an idea and we hold on to the idea, and he will give us even scriptures to back it up, and in the process, we are dying. We are, just like I said before, the one that happened in 1966, the signs were there. The signs kept showing from 1945. They will kill Igbo people. That Igbo people will just come and bury those people and cry, give money to the relatives and disperse. There is no legal, no demand for justice, no demand for justice. And that is why when something happens to an Igbo person, he goes to his fellow Igbo person and says, look, this is happening to me. He will say, well, what were you doing there in the first place? Or not even to say, but this person, what he did to you is wrong. Where is justice? Can't our people demand for justice? Don't they know that they have to fight for justice and for their freedom? Why do they go to other people's countries around the world where justice has been fought for and freedom has been won, and they are still even fighting to keep it? But they are enjoying that, and amidst enjoying that justice and so on, they are pointing to other people that, don't do this, don't do that. I mean, people in America, didn't somebody fight for freedom in America? Yeah. And is it not that freedom that they fought for that we're enjoying? Mazi Kediwe, please speak on this.
Okay, thank you, Mazi. Thank you very much. I thank my fellow panelists. I welcome our guests and everybody to another special broadcast from Radio Biafra International, the station that empowers the people with the right information. The truth must be said, these are hard times for our people. These are hard times for Biafra. These are hard times for Igbos, all the Easterners. These are really hard times for us. Buhari didn't make any mistake, immediately entered. He promised us, our people must understand that part. He promised us the 5% treatment. What we are seeing is just a movement to the 5% treatment, because the guy is moving and is pushing up. He started the 5% treatment by making sure that there's nobody from our region of the country that is represented in the whole security apparatus of the country, the whole security architecture of the country. Nobody from that side of the country is represented. In other words, nobody can even whisper to the next person and say, oh, be careful of what is happening there. We were totally sidelined in that aspect. And when it was happening, just like you said, Mazodi, some of our people were telling us, oh, there's no problem with it. Buhari can use any kind of people to any position he likes, can put anybody, it doesn't matter. And they forget that there's what we call federal character in the constitution. And the essence of the federal character is to make sure that everybody is represented in order for this kind of situation not to arise. Our people slept on it. Even when most of us were crying, they told us to sleep, that we were just raising unnecessary voice there. That he has the right to choose anybody he wants. Even if they come from the same village, it doesn't matter. This is exactly what is happening. And immediately Buhari sat down, the killing started. And then the Fulanis started having this mentality of one of us is in the position and absolutely nothing can happen. And because they kill people in Nizo one in Enugu and another neighboring community and nothing happened, it emboldened them. While this was coming on, the governors in that houses were drinking tea, or even being the one going to pay condolence visit to Buhari in the north, in Aso Rock. And this kind of thing embodied them, and that's why they're now encircling our communities. And what will happen at the end of the day? They're not encircling this community for nothing. Just like you said, they're not encircling it for nothing. They're encircling it at the end of the day, they will attack. And when they attack, their aim is to finish us, because they know nobody will speak for us. Absolutely nobody. There's nobody in that security administration that will speak for us. And then there's one thing that happened when Buhari entered in 2015. There was a time people were massacred in one community in Enugu State, And then the people from that community came up and started and went into their village square to discuss about security. You know what happened? DSS was leashed on those people. They were arrested, about 52 of them, men, were arrested and taken to Zone 5, that's Umahia, and locked up there. They were there for more than 2 weeks until we came on social media and started making noise and started speaking out about it. That's when they released them. You know, that was, they have had a systematic plan already. Don't forget that most of those our states are being manned. The police commissioner of police are from the north. So if this happens, they will just swan on the people and arrest them and accuse them of whatever, illegal gathering, planning to cause mayhem, and then they lock those people up. These are what we've been speaking out for so many years, but it fell on deaf ear, and this is the time that people must wake up. Islam was wake up and really know the situation. We must actually have an idea of what the problems are. I told us last time that what they use to counter whatever situation you bring to tell you that security is in the exclusive list. But we must let them know that the essence of living is to protect life and properties of everybody. That is ultimate. We must not negotiate security, no matter what they try to give, no matter the reason they try to give us, why we cannot have our own security outfit. We must be able to defeat them on this debate, and that's why the Yorubadism could stand even for, because they defeated them on the debate on the essence of Omoteku, and that's why they could not have any other thing. Our people must imbibe the same principle of making sure that we defeat them on that debate, because they must come to tell us that security is an exclusive list, and we must tell them that the essence why government exists is to protect life and properties. Here, if this government cannot protect it, then we must have to protect it by ourselves. We must protect our people by ourselves, for ourselves, and for our community. We must not sleep on this right, and that's why it's imperative that everybody from our houses of the country must know the danger we face, because the man that knows the danger, that we know how to speak out to defeat all the gang ups of our people. We must recognize the fact that there's nobody from our houses of the country that's represented in Aso Rock. The highest ranking officer, the highest ranking Igbo man in Aso Rock is an assistant to a cameraman. Okay, it's as bad as that. It's an assistant to a cameraman. That is it. So, you know, if anything happens to nobody, will say they will even do it and use the media to cover it. So people must understand this thing. We must all get together, speak in one accord, then learn one or two things from the way the Yorubas learned it, thought about it, so that we'll be able to defeat the argument. Because those arguments are where the majority of the decision will come. Because they'll try to tell us how Fulanis can live anywhere they are. After all, they are Nigerians and can live anywhere. You know, when you sue them, they say these people are Nigerians, they can live anywhere. When it doesn't sue them, they will say, oh, they are not really Nigerians, they are foreigners who just came into Nigeria. So we must understand the way the plans, the ideas they will come up with. And it matters that we arm ourselves with knowledge. And that's why RBI is said to educate us, give us the knowledge on how to fight these things. It's not about just fighting the physical battle. It's about fighting it with points that will defeat the enemy and silence them forever. The most important is that we must be security conscious. We must make sure that we defend our land at all times. And who are we defending it from? Those who have decided to stay in our villages, in our not just the villages, in the bushes of the villages. Why will a man go to a community and all he does is stay in the bushes? And when women go to farm, he kills them, murders them, rape them. Those are what we're talking about. If there's any time that we must know that we're in danger, is right now. And the only way to defeat danger is to rise up, sleep with your two eyes open, because a man who is surrounded by enemy does not sleep with must sleep
Yeah.
with his eyes open. Yeah, he must be
Yeah,
off
of
and
course.
clean.
Yeah.
People must understand these principles. But they
Thank
will
you.
come from all areas of life. They
Thank
will
you
come
so
with
much.
their
Thank,
media propagandas to fight us. So thank you for now, and just have
thank
to
you so
understand.
much. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mazi Chukwusikedi, for that. This is something that we have repeated for the umpteenth time to our people over the world. I know that a lot of people are waking up right now, and there is also gathering. We have advised that everybody should be connected to their town union meeting, wherever you are all over the world. You must be connected to your town union meeting. If you want to save your homeland or the homeland of your parents or your grandparents, whichever state you are in terms of your relationship to that, or where is your ancestors come from, because we have our people also in the Caribbean and Americas, even in the Americas, yes, who have gone to, who left our land 300, 400 years ago. Some of their descendants through DNA are being able to find themselves and connect to the land. We want you to be connected. We regret what has happened, obviously. It hurts us. Trust me when I tell you that. And but what the enemy meant for bad, God is turning it for good. So we urge you, do not be silent amidst what is happening. God has made it possible that even though the enemy intended to simply cut you off from your homeland completely, it's never worked. People who took our people 300, 400 years ago in slavery never knew that today they will be able to, their descendants will be able to trace back where they came from. And it's because they don't want them to know where they came from. That's why they took their names and took everything that they came from Africa, but they couldn't take the DNA. They didn't know that DNA was coming. And it is amazing how God could do things. And today, most people are able to trace where they come from through DNA tests. So if you are one of those people, you'll feel free to join your people, free, because Biafra will come by God's mercy and grace, and you will be able to come back home and live amidst your people, and be free, truly. We are going to experience the freedom that is given to us, not as the world give it, but as God give it. So we have kept reiterating, and I want to mention certain quotes here that are very, very important for us to understand how certain things happen. I remember a Jewish writer, Bruno Bettelheim. He lived between 1903 and 1990. And he says, this is quote, he says, all people who dare not defend themselves when they know they are in the right, who submit to punishment, not because of what they have done, but because of who they are already dead by their own decision. This was Jewish writer Bruno Bettelheim, probably German, and he was saying it, condemning millions of Jews who never resisted, but went quietly to their death in Hitler's death camps during the Nazi Holocaust. Nigerians and Biafrans who hesitate to join the struggle for their freedom await brutal Sharia conquest. That is just what it is in that situation. And there was something else that was said about the Jews. It says the Jews are always wishing for the best, even when they are facing the obvious. The same thing is happening to us all the time. We wish for the best while the obvious is right there in our face. So, do not be that false wish, false hope. Oh, this will happen. And then, we're now waiting for the governors. And you see how quiet it seems everything is? And what are the governors doing? Nothing. They have sold their lives. They have sold their heart. They've subjected their spirit under that of the Fulani people. Fulani people are very spiritual people, let me tell you. If they are not, but they are spiritual in the very negative sense. They will not be able to be wielding this type of witchcraft influence upon people where they subdue your spirit so that they know what to do to you. They come and bribe you with your own oil money. Can you imagine that? Bribing us with our own oil money. And then subdue us and make us subordinate to their own wishes. And they see our governors there waiting. Somebody gets killed, they don't say anything. They don't say anything. The senators are there. Nobody's there. They give them money because they know what you need is money. How come they're organizing themselves that they will even be living in the bushes and so on? The rich ones will go and take oil money from Biafra land and buy AK-47 to kill you. They are using your oil money to kill you. That's what is going on here. This is beyond belief, but you can see it happening. Why? Because our people think that wisdom is simply the way you react when somebody calls you to pay attention to danger. You say, oh, well, leave them, and then you talk like that, and then you feel satisfied and walk away. Look at it right now in your house. Why must you wait till he gets to your house? What makes you a wise person that you're waiting for danger that is advancing from a distance, and while you're called to pay attention to that danger, you don't? You wait until he gets to your house. How wise are you? How smart are you? How even spiritual are you? That is part of what is, sold to us as a people. And it affects us so adversely that we keep doing and repeating the same thing over and over. And if God doesn't deliver us out of this one, I'm telling you, it's going to be terrible. Because you know it, you can see it. I'm not just talking, it's going to be terrible. If you say you don't want to learn from the realities of life, oh, we're all one. One, how? How are we one? For goodness sake, people tell me all the time, oh, you see some of us say, oh, we are one. We are one Nigeria. Can you imagine? You are one with Fulani whose religion is telling him to kill you, that you are an infidel, to subdue you. And how are you one with that person? Tell me just how you're one with that person. What are you thinking of? What is going on in your mind to make you believe that people who are massacring you, you're one with them? What type of message is that? We've been massacred in 1945, 1953, 1960s to 70. Millions of our people died. The same people that killed our people, as soon as the war was over, our father said it's over and went and told us to go and be one with them. There is something wrong with that message. Why must somebody tell you to be one with those who hate you and kill you? Why? Why do you obey that? Yes, you can pray for them, but to be one with them, give me a big break on that one. There's something wrong with that message. Because it is obvious, the facts are there. 2 million of our people starved to death. And as soon as it finishes, we think it's just speaking good language, that makes you proud of you said something. Oh, well, forget it, it's all over. Oh, well, we have been one. Well, let's look to the future. It sounds good to your ears. This is the future right now and here. That future you said, let's look to. In 1970, after the war, look at it right here. It is right there in your hometown. That's your father's land. You will lose it. You will lose it unless you fight for it. God does not support stupidity. God does not promote fear and cowardice. God does not also like cunningness, being cunning, using the scriptures to be cunning about something that you know is evil that should be condemned. So don't tell me about being one with everybody else. We are not one with them. It's difficult for me to be one with people who are plotting my death and killing me as well. Even as from 10 years after the war finished in 1970, by 1980, the killing of Igbo people, even in the north and different places, had already started again. It had already started, almost on a yearly basis. Religious and ethnic riots every now and then. Under Obasanjo, Human Rights Watch said that 15,000 people died under his watch. And not one person was prosecuted for it. And we are living in a country where death is just normal. Massive death of people based on ethnic and religious links. That there is they are deeply divided along ethnic and religious lines. They are divided naturally. Why must you be one with them? Let's go to the Bible. Did God tell Israelites to be one with the Canaanites? Why are they not one? What did the Bible say about the Christian and the unbeliever? Are they one? He said that there is no meeting place between the devil and God. Between God and Belial. The unbeliever and the believer. What is your problem? And please go and study the scriptures properly. Because this idea of using scriptures to manipulate people, to be able to sit and stand while they are being massacred and nobody speaks out against what is right to be done, there is some form of wickedness I see in it. It's wicked. They need to stand up for their rights. Why must the devil be motivating people to kill people? What should the devil, is you telling me that there's no God to stop them? People are praying. Yes, they are praying. Don't make it look like they are not praying at all. They are praying. But I tell you, after praying, you have to get up and act. God supports people. Even faith, God says faith needs action. Yet faith needs action. Let me tell you, go to Exodus 15:3. He said, the Lord is a warrior. Didn't Jesus tell you, to be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect? Perfection is only in being peaceful. Perfection is to stand for what is right. Stand for holiness. Stand for what is right. That nobody should bully anybody. You stand for it. You fight for your own salvation and the salvation of others. Not just their spiritual, still their physical salvation as well. Because we talk like when it comes to salvation, it's only spiritual. What about physical? Doesn't God approve of physical salvation? God approves of physical salvation. That's why he tell you somebody's hungry, give him food. If somebody doesn't have shelter, give him. Is it not to save his body? So keep his body and soul together. And then we get into poofies and we twist all these things up, and we use we make it look like God is even afraid of the people. You know, we have told you several times, you cannot dwell with Islamic people. Go and read their history. Everybody has a phone. I have said it for the umpteenth time. Google it on your phone. Google Sharia law, because you will not understand what you're dealing with until you begin to read and study that. And we're asking Biafrans, those who don't understand, Google it. You think even if there's war today in Biafra land, you think after that war it will end? Even if you win your freedom, if Biafra comes to exist today, do you think that will be the end of it? Then you can walk away and start doing your businesses and so on. And that is all you do. Your business and all is good. Your success is very good because it helps the collective interest. But don't think that, even there is war today, you get your freedom. That is when they will begin the one of conspiracy. You see Iran, you see all of them will come together. Because you're Christians. How did you resist unbelievers? Resisting them. So our mentality needs to change about existence on earth. If you cannot create a society where you will be free yourself and defend yourself, I'm telling you that society will be taken over. All these countries you see in the West, Britain, United States, Canada, this one, that one. Why do you think they are left to be free? You didn't know they fought for that freedom that they're enjoying? They fought for it and they are fighting to keep it, whether you like it or not. Why is it you think people have not taken over the United States? They have a powerful military, for goodness sake. Have sense enough to understand that. So I'm telling Biafrans, it's time for you to think about your own very self-defense, to defend your own existence and that of your children. If we do not think that way, they will overrun us. And all we do is complain, is to go on exile in different countries of the world where we live, and when we die, we're buried there. Most of us are buried there. And so on and so forth, will continue to suffer that way. You must think of your security. Security is very important. First of all, your spiritual security, which is in God, in the Lord Jesus Christ, in Yeshua HaMashiach. And then your physical security. You have to think about it and work towards it. The children of Israel, God ordered them to do the same. To work, after he delivered them from Egypt, because they couldn't deliver themselves from there, they were in a very bad shape. As soon as he brought them out of Egypt, what happened? He took a sword and gave them to the hand and said, okay, now you have to fight for your way. When they fought and went into Canaan, what did God tell them? He told them, look, you do not mix up with the Canaanites, the Hivites, the Hittites, the Girgashites, that why? Is it because God is a racist? No, it was because of their practices. He told them that these people are evil. They are evil. This is what we're seeing in Nigeria. There are people who are evil. Anybody who supports the starvation of children to just at 2 million is evil. Trust me when I tell you that. I know it doesn't sound very good to you. That's just the way you want to hear it. But I believe it. And I'm saying it because why should anybody support such a thing? Why should anybody not be touched about the starvation of children to the tune of millions? Why? What is in that person that makes the person not see it as a terrible thing? This was what Biafrans went through. And we see it going on and on. It's not as if after the 1970, they said no victor, no vanquish, reconciliation, rehabilitation, and reconstruction as a new policy. We are brothers. You see, they keep telling you we are brothers and they keep killing us. They keep killing us. Where is the justice for all this they kill? Up till today, that 3 R's, reconciliation, rehabilitation, reconstruction, none of them has been met. None of them have been met. Because some people are plotting to dominate other people, and not just to dominate them by say, oh, well, they have better quality in leadership or administration. And that is all. If that was it, then we would thank God. Let them dominate and lead us and show us the way. No, it is domination to kill, to oppress, to exploit, and to kill, and to exterminate. That type of domination is from the pit of hell and should be resisted. Mazi Ejiofor, what I told you right here, that there was even war in heaven. War in heaven. And the devil was chased out with the third of the angels. And they became demons. And this is some of the things that some of us go to worship in ignorance. When they set up idols everywhere, then they think that going to church. No, go and get that Bible and study it. Stop depending on what somebody tells you simply from the pulpit and not studying it. If it tells you, go back and check it out. Stop worshiping idols. Our fathers did it out of ignorance because they were in darkness. And we know that. We have known it now. If it wasn't true, why did we build churches and start going there? Why do we build schools? Yes, colonization was evil, but let me tell you the truth. Even amidst darkness, God operates in there too. Because even amidst it, the British, by coming to exploit us, which they are still doing, yes, but we gained something. We went and read chemistry and physics and biology, and we became doctors and lawyers and nurses and teachers and all kinds of professionals to help ourselves. And today we're better for it. So we have to recognize that. This idea of people saying, oh, well, the white man is the devil, that Christianity is that of the white man. Another wrong perspective. It is, half knowledge over certain things is worse than no knowledge at all. Because Christianity did not start from Europe. Christianity started from Israel. That's where it started. Christ was an Israelite. Christ was not a Christian. Christ was a Jew. Like Christ we follow. He was going to the synagogue. When he healed some people, he said, go to the priest and show yourself. So Christianity started from Israel. And these were not Europeans. But the message was powerful. That message went to Europe. And it affected so many lives in Europe. Changed their society, even though some of them are resisting it. Don't take their own evil and what they have not done about what the Bible told them and make it their own and make it a fault of the Bible. No, it is not. Because human beings have power to manipulate anything they give to them. Even if this Bible, we have false prophets, don't we? Does that mean if you give somebody a knife, he uses it to stab somebody rather than use it to cut and do the things that he needs to use it for? Does it mean that knife is bad? No, it is how they use it that's the problem. Not the thing itself. We need to differentiate that. So let us also remember that Israel fought, not that there was war in heaven, like Mazi Ejiofor said. Israel fought to have Israel today in 1948. They fought through diplomacy. They fought through prayers. They fought through a war, militancy. Yeah, they fought through, and today you have Israel, which some of you want to go to, and you're rejoicing. You're rejoicing. How was it attained? How was it attained? Why is it that some of us do not acknowledge what it took to get something that they enjoy? Because I have met some people and I asked them, if you go to the West or some of the Asia, or even some other African countries, South Africa, this and this, where people develop. So why don't you acknowledge the struggle the person used to fight for that? And, because of it, that place is a very buoyant economy and you're able to have the opportunity to stay there. We're enjoying certain things that a lot of people fought for. But this is our turn, my brethren. It is our turn to look at our own land. It's our turn to call on our God in prayer. It's our turn to step up and do whatever is necessary to ensure that our freedom is gained, because there is no other place that we have. And I keep saying this, the idea that everybody must love you so that you can be free, I don't think it's possible, because you know that there are some people who will not love you. There are people who hate you. Igbo people in Nigeria are hated. Just look at Nigerian history. It is them that has refused to acknowledge it, and they keep trying to favor their enemies or to make their enemies to stop loving them, to stop hating them by just, showing being gracious unnecessarily onto them. No, it doesn't. You are not going to buy their love. Trust me. The more you do certain things in favor for them, the more they hate you. What condition are we today? Who sponsored Fulani hegemony in Nigeria? Other Nigerians supported them because of the hatred of Igbo in the 60s. Today, some of them said their scales have dropped from their eyes. We are yet to see those scales, to show that those scales have dropped from their eyes. But they supported the mass massacre and the killings of innocent people. And next they say, so what about January 1956? I said the killings didn't start in January 1956. It started in 1945. So the question you should be asked is, what about 1945? What about 1953? What about 1964? This is all before 1966. What about the fact that Tafawa Balewa and what's his name, Ahmadu Bello, refused that Nigeria would work except it has an Islamic imposition on it? Why? Because they're obeying the instructions of their patriarch, who is Uthman Danfodio, in terms of conquest. So when you're thinking about government and development and economic development and all the rest of it, they're thinking about conquest. That is what is in the minds of, look at all of them in National Assembly, all those Muslim people you're looking at. They are not thinking about any other conquest. That is why Nigeria is always a mess in their hands. Look at all of them that have been in government ever since the time of Tafawa Balewa. Their governments have been always a mess. Tafawa Balewa made a mess of Nigerian government. You don't see anybody talk about it. But look at, they don't want to talk about it. That's the point. That's why you see that there is a lot of wickedness going on in that land. Tafawa Balewa that called the army, even though it wasn't within his right, it was within Zeke's right, because Zeke was the head of state and commander-in-chief of the armed forces. Zeke was not the head of state, but he was commander-in-chief of the armed forces. Yeah, he was head of state, sorry. The other one, Tafawa Balewa, was head of government, and he was the prime minister. But he will always usurp Chief's role, ordered the military, him and Ahmadu Bello, to go and slaughter more than 1,000 chief people. Because after November 1963, when the Midwest got their own freedom to be a regional group, have freedom, I will say, because there is no freedom in Nigeria. So when they got their own freedom, the Midwest wanted to carve out themselves out of the North, the Middle Belt, sorry. And they refused. The Northern oligarchs refused. It's not in the plan of domination plan. So they sent the army to slaughter 1,000 people. These are of thieves. That is part of the reason why that coup took place in January 15. And they targeted them. The elections were rigged in 1965. Can you imagine? The South boycotted the election because the parties in the South were not allowed to campaign in the North. The same thing they're doing up to today. They use underage voters. They rig the election. Nobody talks to them. Where do you think, why they're doing all those things? Where do you think all these things are going to when they're doing it? You think it will end up in some form of El Dorado? No. No. Because when they do the first one and you're quiet on them, they move to the second. Then they go to the third. It's a matter of conquest. So people are still saying pray for Nigeria. Okay, you pray for Nigeria to become what? You were praying for the Fulani people to repent. Okay, pray for them. But meanwhile, please pray for these people who they are killing to be saved. Pray for that killing, because that killing doesn't stop. These people will stand up and fight them back. That is the only thing they can do. Or you go and stop them from killing people. If you have the power to do so. Do something about people dying. That's all I mean. Don't just, say all kinds of things, but nothing is done to stop it. Because I don't think God likes people to be killed. Innocent people. God does not like innocent people to be killed and slaughtered, as you have seen going on in Nigeria. So as I gave you the history, you see how Northerners, they rigged the census in 1962, rigged the elections in 1965 as well. Then the coup. and they massacred thief people. So, all these, and then they call them innocent people. Oh, they were innocent, this, that. What makes them innocent? Since 1804, this man they call Uthman Danfodio, was he invited to Hausa land when he came? No. Nobody sent an invitation to him. But when he came, what happened? Before you knew it, he went right inside the governmental structure of these people, traditional system, and was able to deceive them, and eventually killed their king and imposed themselves there as sultan and as emirs all over the place. Almost all the governors in the north are Fulani people. It's a matter of hegemony, and we're looking at it happening. Some people don't want to study it. They don't want to pay attention to it and look and see what is going on. They are still waiting until they call home and somebody calls you from home and say, oh, your father's land is taken over. Oh, this person is dead. The other person is dead. They killed him. And you begin to listen. At that time, that's when you want to start listening. It will be too late, my brother. It will be too late, my sister. Already it's getting late. As we are looking and seeing that they have more than 400 communities scattered all over. You're talking about Igbo land. What about Urobo land? Insecurity land. They're all over Yoruba land. They've taken a lot of lands in the Middle Belt. And the Christians are the number one target because they are driven by religious ideology. That is not something you have to deny. It's time to be bold about it and say, this is the problem. Let us face it. Let us confront it. You must confront that problem. Because the idea of trying to dodge it will make you more of a slave. It will finish you at the end of the day. People who are smart know that you have to confront problems in order for you to solve them. Otherwise, you don't solve them by simply throwing something at it and just walking away. No. We have to confront the very sources of these motivations towards dominance, towards exploitation, towards oppression, towards genocide, which our people have suffered greatly from. I am not happy. I'm not happy for the sufferings of my people in that land. I'm not happy at all because people are being oppressed and exploited and massacred. And I'm not happy. Why should anybody who is normal be happy? Why should anybody who is normal ignore what is going on down there? When you ignore it, you're not normal. Trust me. And there is nothing godly about you ignoring it. Nothing whatsoever that is godly. Because people who are godly are supposed to be mindful about oppression and the people who are being oppressed and work towards their being free. In America, people like Martin Luther King Jr. worked and did so many things. Malcolm X, a lot of people struggled for civil rights movement. And it benefited a lot of not just black people, other races as well. Is it not the same thing that people who are in America, are enjoying when they get there? If they didn't fight for that, they still try to get into a public place. They tell you this is whites only, this is blacks only, it will be the same thing. There are laws, but they're unjust laws in the society. You have to also stand up against it. After all, our constitution was made by just a gang of people. Some military men and their cohorts sat down and wrote the so-called constitution. It's a forgery. It's not a constitution anybody should accept. Anybody in his right mind in so-called Nigeria. The main thing is that Nigeria expired, even under the document, the very fraudulent document which was created, it has expired after 100 years. In December 2013, January 1, it's an expired contraption already. By the very documents that created it, Nigeria was not created by Nigerians. It's created by foreigners who created it for their own interest. We have known that, and this is something that everybody needs to drill into his mind. And I don't see why somebody should be found offensive by saying he's not a Nigerian. Why must you force a name on somebody else? Doesn't that show you that something is not working between you and him? Because when you're forcing that name on him, you're telling him you must answer this name. And if he says he doesn't want to answer it, you have a problem with it. That means there's a problem with your relationship. And nobody should be forced to belong to a place that he doesn't want to. Nobody should be forced to belong to a place that, or to take a name that he doesn't want to answer. Yes, because even when the name that was given to you by your parents, when you want to change, you are free to change it legally, because ultimately you are the own driver of your life. So we recognize those rights. We recognize what is decent. So the question is, now that the issue of contribution of money is being talked about, I think in diaspora, the question is, can the diaspora trust the governors, politicians, and traditional rulers already compromised with the Fulani hijacked government? Because we see what Congress contributing money. Some people are saying we got to work with the governors. Is this going to work? This idea of working with the governors. I would like some of our panelists to talk about it, because our governors are so compromised. They are serving Fulani people. If they weren't serving them, we will not be talking about this today. We will not be in this danger in the first place. So now that our people are contributing money, I have advocated before that people will send money back home through their their town unions. Why? Because I believe that it will help in transparency and accountability of funds. When people are connected with each other, wherever they are, they can be able to demand the account of the other person. But if we all come and send money and it will be story again, then the people who will send the money will be disappointed. So I'm just putting it up for consideration so that we go through town unions to make general contribution. So my contribution should go to my town union. Then my town union will make the contribution to general funds. It does not mean you cannot contribute generally to whatever you have to World Igbo Congress for the things that they're doing themselves, or to any organization that is doing something important. Yes, we don't necessarily have to make it, but that is through the town unions that we can be able to force our will, the will of the people, on the political leaders of that land. Force our will on the political, because they need to understand, we need to come to a point when they need to understand that except they do the will of the people, they are not even accepted to go to work one more day. They should go home. That they'll be rejected completely by the people. So the question is, all this money, people just come and just donate money, and I think we need more of organization regarding the World Igbo Congress right now. Organize so that people can organize in town unions in whatever country they are all over the world as town unions. Then they can make decisions, collective decisions within their various units for the general good. So I would like our panelists to talk about this. I wish any panelist who wants to pick it up about the contributions. Can the diaspora trust the governors and officials, politicians, traditional rulers who are already compromised? Because people are saying, we're going to work with them. Mazi Jofo Chinawata, I don't know whether you're there. If I can be connected to you, I would love to hear your idea on this. And can the diaspora function in exclusion or opposition of their compromised leaders? This seems to be a challenge we have now, right now. As can we, the diaspora, function in exclusion or opposition of these compromised leaders? Can the diaspora trust the governors, politicians, and traditional rulers already compromised with the Fulani hijacked government? Mazi Jofo Chinawata, if you're there. Chuksi Kedigwe, if you can discuss on this, I'll be glad if you're close by. If you can, if I can be connected to you. We'll talk about this, because this seems to be the next hurdle for our people. Who do we trust regarding what we do? Because these are governors whom under their watch, many has been killed by the Fulani terrorists. Yet they work with them and they sought not justice for the victims. These are politicians who are not seeking for justice for the victims of Fulani killings. but they're working with Fulanis. Can you imagine that? So, these are governors, senators, and representatives who over the years had never taken a decisive action towards creation of regional security outfit and still holding back with 350 or now 400 Fulani terrorist settlements in our land. Mazi Kerigwe, if you can speak on this.
Okay, thank you very much, Masodi. One thing is sure, I tell people that most times the savior will be waiting for my just be those in diaspora. And most people in diaspora, they already have an idea of what security is all about, because most people at home here do not really understand the components involved in securing the people. So most people in diaspora have it, and I believe that they have a very vital role to play in securing our people. Yeah, they have a very vital role to play, and I believe they can be trusted by every other person to play a very vital role in liberating the people from this encirclement that is happening now. We know that most of them can actually put up, just like what you said, what the Igbo Congress is doing. We mustn't forget that what the Igbo Congress just got registered with UN as an NGO. So they can actually reach out to and write to these organizations, as in UN and other organizations, who can actually come in to be a guide, as in to actually warn this government, warn Nigerian government about this encirclement. So most of these diaspora bodies and organizations can have a very they have a very vital role to play here, and that's why it's important that they do whatever within their power to make sure that they bring this into the limelight. Okay, give it a lot of publicity. Make sure that they don't allow the Nigerian media to manipulate these killings that's taking place here and actually this encirclement. So they have a very, very, very vital role to play by making sure that enough publicity is given to this before the attack actually happens. Because if there's anything I am very sure of is that the attack will definitely happen, and it happens. So for a while, for very obvious reasons, I know that our people in diaspora organizations should wake up right now and be the savior that we've been looking for, because we're living it for the governor, but our governors and our political office holders will be playing with the life of our people. So everything is incumbent on them right now to do it, and doing it will be to make sure that enough publicity, they write to the necessary organs of foreign governments that can actually put an eyes on this one world and warn our people. And that's also important that they actually take advantage of organizations like RBI sponsor, so that we can actually reach out to our people, because we have our stations on this, and we actually be able to advise our people on this arm, because sometimes our people might be in the village but they don't know about this arm, but this organization, diaspora organization, have a wider reach, and I can actually help to sponsor or provide materials of transmission tools that can actually help us to reach our people and warn them in advance. So I believe
what do you think about town unions, if I may ask? Don't you think town unions are also, I think, the most viable and probably will be most effective?
Town unions too, but town unions, they really do not have their reach is what I'm actually considering now. And I discovered that most town unions now are just porous. They've become a burial ground associations. What they do is just to make sure that the death, the corpse of each member gets home. It has become what town unions have been known for a little while. The essence of town unionism has been lost on our people. That most town unions are just
it's become cooperative societies for burial cooperative societies.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they become now. So it now becomes on this diaspora organization. So they must wake up and not really wait for the town union because the sense of the town union has been defeated already. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that analysis of people. You heard it, and hopefully, if you're able to revive your town unions, revive the organizations, please do so, because this is a time that we need. We don't just need urgent action, we need urgent transformation. We need our people to transform their thinking urgently. Because if your thinking does not change, the insecurity in our land will just be it's a beginning issue. I'm telling you, if our thinking doesn't change. That's why I read a couple of things here to buttress my point about people changing their philosophy, about their safety, about their protection, because they need to know history. In order to understand what is repeating itself here. We read something about a Jewish writer, Bruno Bettelheim, and we look at history and we can see that people, the killings had, because we talk about this Nigerian thing, because that's what I want to do. The concept of unity regarding Nigeria. Those who know reality have long discarded it. I have discarded it quite a long time. Because not if you are in tune with reality. If you want to build an Eldorado somewhere, okay, you can do so. But what is the unity between God and devil? You say, God can unite with the devil, forgive the devil, and stop talking about impossibilities. Look, if all the Muslims, this is Nigeria of 200 million people. Let's say that the Muslims are 60 million. Because all this half and half thing is a big lie. It is not. There are more Christians than Muslims in that land. Sorry, just pardon me. So there are more Christians than Muslims in Nigeria, definitely. But we know that as they have skewed the population figures, the British did it for them in 1959, and they have since continued that in elections. That's why they will bring children of 10 years and so on, line them up, Almajiri to keep voting for them and all the rest of them. Why would people do that? And this is only the North that you see this type of thing happening. They will rig elections by any means necessary. They have never been able to stand for. So, and that's why we tell you, we went to start what was the motivating factor that these people behave like this. Hence, you have no progress in that land. And it is Islam. Islam is the problem. It is in their head. The thing tells them to lie to unbelievers in order to conquer them. And that's all that religion is talking about. Conquest. That's all. A religion that started in 610 AD. 600 years after Christ has come, died, and ascended to heaven. Now, this religion started by a man called Muhammad ibn Abdullah. Muhammad, the son of Abdullah. Then between 610 AD and 1923, where the Islamic Caliphate fell in Turkey, he has more than 270 million people have lost their lives within a space of 1,400 years. And there are no nuclear weapons. And yet they come out and say the religion of peace. You see, there's something wrong with, for you to be a Muslim, you have to look at white and call it black. And that's what he's taught you to do. You're giving him facts. Next, he's telling you about the West. What about the West that went and fought in Iraq and so on? Where there were people demonstrating and condemning those policies. They do not, in Islam, they don't demonstrate and condemn any of their policies. You are required to believe in whatever you're told. You don't question it. You don't examine it. There are no parallel snaps to it. So because of it, you're supposed to just follow sheepishly. Obey or you die. What type of religion is that? That is what we are asking our people to think of. This is people who think in this manner that you think you can tell that you're thinking completely opposite. You cannot criticize any issue regarding Islam. Yes. If you do, it's death. The penalty for apostasy is death. Women do not have their rights there as individuals. There's some. So what is this? by the way. And you look at their own belief system and that of Christian, they're completely opposite in a lot of ways. You know, yeah, they can say that Europe fought. They first of all mentioned about crusade. Oh, what about crusade? What about crusade? But crusade was a response to jihad. But the way their brain works is that they will do something wrong to you, and you ask, and you go and you retaliate. He will tell you that you are the one causing the problem, that you have done this and that. The one he did, he does not even think of it at all, or what? I don't understand. Just a lying nature. You know, if you read in Nigerian news today, you have a bunch of Islamic northern leaders, elites, who are saying that it's the north that feeds the south. Can you imagine that? That's why I tell you about the religion. It just makes them lie. It is you. If you are not lying, you haven't started with that religion. You know, the north that's feeding the south. That's why you're holding the south from going. Okay, let's go, so you can feed yourself. He says no, you are not going anywhere. What type of people are this? Then they come out and tell you they believe in human rights and democracy. You know, it's all tricks. All these politicians from the north, Muslims, they're all tricking you. Some of you believe they believe in democracy. Actually, that is the problem we are having. We have to get in tune with the reality of our condition, of our environment, and of the reality, the social and political reality of the so-called country that we have been forced to belong to. In doing so, we will be able to decipher where our problems are coming from naturally and begin to work towards how to solve the problem, rather than hoping falsely that one day, Muslims and Christians are going to live together in a peaceful society. They can only be peaceful if they are minority in that society. Let me tell you the truth. If you, the Christians, are major, go and check any map where Muslims are living with anybody all over the world. Yes. And because they don't want Christians, they tell you, don't criticize Muhammad. Why? Because they want the lives of the man to be maintained at all costs. So they try to intimidate you. And let me tell you the truth. Anybody that tries to intimidate you when you're trying to criticize something, know that there is something wrong with what that person believes in. Otherwise, why would you have a problem in examining it? Have you seen anybody try to criticize Christ and there's a threat on his life? No. No. Rather, what you see in the life of Christ is a manifestation of power. Power, which is evident. And when I mean it literally. Go and look into YouTube and see people who have changed to become Christians and their stories. You don't see it of any other religion in the whole world. Check it in YouTube. You check for person from Turkey and you go to the person to Egypt, and go to the person in Zimbabwe and the person in Korea. All the same manifestations of power, which they do. So these people don't know themselves, so they are telling similar stories. So let us get it. Such story is not told of any other religion. And pretty soon they're going to find that out and they're going to begin to forge stories to tell. But you're going to see how that forged story is going to be exposed too. Because you see, it's never really easy to maintain a lie. Once there's a lie, there will be certain things that will happen to prove that it is a lie. I'm telling you, with time, it's very difficult. So we are urging our people to pay attention to history, pay attention to repetition of history. I really don't understand how our people could go through so much and still come back to embrace people who have caused them so much heartache. What do you think those people think of you? They think you are fools. They think you are fools. That's why they can take a knife and kill anyhow, because the ones they killed were still coming back after killing us. We are still telling them we are one Nigeria, telling them we are one with you. We're still talking about how to work out Nigeria. They'll be looking at you like, I don't know how to imagine what's going on in their head when they'll be looking at you when you're talking about that. Because you have a right to reject Nigeria. What happened in 1970 was that people were forced into Nigeria, not out of our own will. So what is our will? Our will is Biafra. So we said we want to be Biafrans. It's as simple as that. So allow us to express our will. And it's also enshrined in international documents that uphold and respect human and people's rights all over the world. So we are expressing our fundamental human rights, the right to self-determination, the right to hold an opinion, the right to speak, the right to assemble, the right to religion, the right to movement and assembly. These are fundamental human rights. When it's violated, and Nigeria violates all of them. And why there is that violation? The source of the violation is from the Islamic North. Because of their value system, the value system of Islam, which is against these rights. Even though if you go to Islamic countries, some of them pretend to be signatories to these international rights in United Nations and regional organizations. But you go to their country, the nature of Islam violates all those rights. So they are lying by also signing those things and claiming that they don't implement them back home to their homes. That's the nature of Islam. Say one thing and do the other. What are we having with Fulani? After killing people, they say, oh no, we didn't do it. That's a liar. Remember the devil, the Bible says that the devil is a liar and his children lie. It is a demonic forces that are moving with people who reject God by their nature. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God of Israel. And that's the God we worship. We are not afraid of any people or whatever people think about it. It is our God. He's our God. Yes. So, and the teachings of the Bible is completely different from that of the Quran. It's completely different. They are not the same thing. I'll read a quote here in 2004 by Herbert Ekwekwe. And Herbert Ekwekwe was a professor, and he wrote in the Guardian newspapers, this is the time that under Obasanjo's government, our people were being oppressed. Because in every government, we've always been oppressed. And he says here, quote, in the 1967 and 1970 war was waged by the federal Nigerian military government, led by General Yakubu Gowon, to overwhelm and destroy the corporate ability of the Igbo people to resist an aggression triggered in the first place because they were simply expressing their inalienable fundamental human right to freely decide to belong or not to belong to a political relationship in the wake of the most horrendous spate of massacres the previous year. During the months of May to October 1966, about 100,000 Igbo were hunted down and killed in several northern towns and cities and elsewhere in the Federation in a pogrom that was planned and executed by the northern Nigerian political, military, and religious establishments. Most were killed in their houses, offices, businesses, schools, colleges, and hospitals, as well as those who were attacked at railway stations and on trains, bus stations and buses, airport and in cars, lorries and on foot, as they sought to escape the pogrom for their homeland in eastern Nigeria. Thousands of others sustained horrific injuries, several of whom were maimed for life. Herbert Ekwekwe in the Guardian newspapers, Sunday, January 25th, 2004. So you can see this was executed by the northern Nigerian political, military, and religious establishment. Can you imagine that? And then the same people, you say, oh, we are one. So this is kindness. That's what you're telling me. Killing 100,000 mainly Igbo people. That's kindness. That's oneness. That's an expression of oneness. And rather than talk about justice for these people, our people are not talking about justice for these people. They are talking about how to unite with these people still more. So why they're killing us more? You make me wonder whether you are possessed demonically when you keep saying this to people. And they are, some people are believing it. Why should we be united with the people who have treated us this way? You can have to answer that question yourself. Now, let me read further for you, because there are some of that to understand the wave of those killings in 1960s. A wave of effectively organized and coordinated attacks was unleashed on Igbo immigrants in cities, towns, and villages throughout the North, beginning in 29 May 1966, with the chilling cries in Hausa and Arabic of Akasha Kafir, kill the infidel. Akasha Nyamiri, kill the damned Igbo. Allahu Akbar, God is great. Heralding the stage orgies of gruesome murders, raping, looting, and arson, day in, day out. The following cities and towns bear the stamp of perpetual shame as dominant sites of the perpetration of these crimes against humanity: Sokoto, Katsina, Zaria, Kaduna, Kano, Kaura Namoda, Nguru, Bauchi, Gombe, Saminaka, Yola, Kafantan, Damaturu, Ningi, Darazo, Guzwao, Burning Kebi, Bukuru, Numan, Jos, Yola, Kefi, Wase, Lantan, Takum, Mango, Shandan, Kantangora, Mina, Gudi, Mada, Mokwa, Ayarago, Wukari, Makrudi, Ilorin, Sungeru, Oturbo, Boko, Ilorin, Lafia, Tanglawaja. The genocide went on intermittently through June and became intensified after the overthrow and murder of Aguirre in 29 July by the North military officers, and the extension of hitherto territorial limits of the carnage to include Lagos, the capital, especially the suburb of Ikeja, and the Yoruba towns of Ibadan, Abeokuta, Osogbo, and Oyo. Marauding mobs of youth recruited from across society joined later by North military and police after 29 July, armed with clubs, rock, axes, spears, poison arrows, machetes, and the like, attacked Igbo individuals, families, homes, and property with a staggering, unparalleled, indiscriminate savagery. 2 months on, as from 29 July, heavily armed North and police joined their civilian brethren in expanding even further the territorial range and intensity of genocide attacks. Attacks were now increasingly focused on transport facilities, trains, coaches, aircraft, carrying survivors fleeing to Igbo land in the east. By late October, 5 months after it began, 100,000 Igbo had been murdered, mostly teachers, students, pupils, civil servants, technicians, artists, military security officers, medical doctors, nurses, and other medical staff and business people. Tens of thousands of others were wounded, many of them with horrific injuries that created permanent disability. A mass exodus of Igbo survivors from the north, as well as from Lagos, Midwest, and Western regions ensued. By the end of the following month, October, nearly 2 million Igbo had returned to Igbo land from across the rest of Nigeria. Professor Herbert Ekwekwe. This is in page 75 and 76 of his book, published by African Renaissance Reading in Reading, Berkshire, England. Biafra Revisited is the name of his book. So I'm talking about the genocide because this is why we are broadcasting. This is why we are trying to make sure that this does not repeat itself again. And not to talk about they are trying to do it in our own homes, in our own homeland. So we are, this is why we haven't shut up yet. It's not that we don't have other things to do if we don't choose, but it doesn't make sense for you to do that, for us to do this. To just ignore what concerns us and what involves a lot of lives being saved. Because I'm reading this to see the type of oneness, when you advocate of Nigerian oneness, what it is, the type of people you want to be one with. Even when the war started, there were certain things that happened in that war that will show you the meanness of these people and their wish to exterminate Biafrans from the face of the earth. For example, poisoning of the food, blowing up Red Cross planes, Can you imagine that? Red Cross planes bringing in food for the dying children. Now, I'll quote this from New York Times. He said, this is Dr. Otwe revived the Biafrans' charge that food sent to them in the past had been poisoned during passage through Nigerian territory. He said that in February and March, analysis had shown cyanide, arsenic, and bacterial cultures in milk, beer, flour, and salt received from outside. He cited a dispatch in the Daily Telegraph of London last Monday, July 8th, saying that impartial observers have confirmed by on-the-spot inspection that food reaching Biafra from Lagos was poisoned. Poisoned. You see the mind of these people regarding you. They haven't stopped yet. That is why we don't have airport, no international airport, no international seaport. That is functional. The one that was established under Jonathan, the international airport, they went there and clamped down on it. That's what happened. They use excuses. And they make us travel from the east, go nearly 300 miles over to Lagos in order to have anything done at all. Over the years, this is the suffering we've been subjected to. I finish up this quote. It says, Dr. Otwe said that a ceasefire was needed to save the lives of Biafrans. A surrender, he said, would mean complete slaughter. This is from New York Times, Sunday, July 14, 1968 report on Dr. Nwonye Otwe, Biafran Special Representative's appeal for aid and relief at a news conference held at the Church Center for the United Nations in 777 United Nations Plaza, New York. Now, and these are some other quotes, because where else is genocide going? This is where it's going. This is what it looks like, actually. You see? The loss of life from starvation, I'm quoting again. The loss of life from starvation continues at more than 10,000 persons per day. Over 1 million lives in recent months without emergency measures. Now, the number will climb to 25,000 per day within a month and some 2 million deaths by the end of the year. The new year will only bring greater disaster to a people caught in the passion of fratricide, unquote. This is Senator Edward Kennedy appealing to American leaders for greater humanitarian aid and to end the civil war. This is in New York Review of Sunday, November 17, 1968. This is what our people went through. They are dying at 10,000 per day. 10,000 per day. And after all this suffering, our people still went back to those people and said, we are one Nigeria. We are the same. We are not, nothing is different for us. You know, it makes me wonder what is wrong with my people. What is wrong with their head? What is wrong with them? And the same thing, they are still slaughtering and killing. Now they are planning to kill us right at home, at our own home. That is the only time our people is waking up. All this history, they look at it and just go their business. You know, go about their business like nothing happened. What is wrong with these people? I wonder, what is wrong with these people? They refuse to see danger. Even when it's right at their doorstep, they refuse. They just close their eyes to it. They are in denial all the time, pretending they don't care. And this is what Anthony Nahara says. It, which is mass salvation, is a legitimate aspect of war. This is Anthony Nahara, Nigeria's Commissioner for Information then. At a press conference in New York, July 1968, later, Anthony Nahara began to fight for confederation. I think he worked with the Lower Niger Congress of NADI or the MNN or whatever, you know. But the fact remains that you cannot associate with Muslims with your own value system. There is no meeting point. It's just as simple as that. And here is Alison Aida. He says, starvation is a legitimate weapon of war, and we have every intention of using it against the rebels. Alison Aida, head of the Nigerian delegation, Niamey Peace Talks, Republic of Nigeria in July 1968. Then another quote says, all is fair in war and starvation is one of the weapons of war. I don't see why we should feed our enemies fat in order for them to fight harder. This is your Obafemi Awolowo, who was Minister of Finance, New York Review, 21st December 1968. This is what Chief Obafemi Awolowo said. You know, they all work together to ensure that starvation was used as a weapon of warfare. And after dealing all these things to us, is not enough after 1970, because as soon as 1970 came out, people were like, Oh yes, it's over. Let's get back to get back to our businesses and every other thing. And they started from that moment to plot about our nation up to today. Now they're coming to our land to exterminate us again. Something needs to fundamentally change in our mind if we are to exist as a people. Something needs to fundamentally, and we're praying God to do that. Because if that thing does not change, oh Lord, it will be terrible. It will be terrible. Everybody knows it. Now you don't need anybody to tell you. All you need to do is look at the facts. So it's right there before you. And here we got another quote. It says the Igbos must be considerably reduced in number. This is a Lagos policeman quoted in New York Review, 21st December 1968. And then we know the Adekunde's famous quote, which he says, notorious quote, sorry, not famous. And he says, I want to see no Red Cross, no Caritas, no World Council of Churches, no Pope, no missionary, and no UN delegation. I want to prevent even one Igbo from having even one piece to eat before their capitulation. We shoot at everything that moves, and when our troops march into the center of Igbo territory, we shoot at everything, even at things that do not move. This is Benjamin Adekunle, who was the commander of the 3rd Marine Commando Division of Nigerian Army. Then he says, now here is what the Swiss Review wrote about that war. He says, the war aim and final solution, properly speaking of the entire problem. If you remember what final solution is, you see that phrase is used in reference to the extermination of 6 million Jews during the Second World War. This is 67% of European Jewry exterminated. The final solution. And it says here, Swiss Review is writing, the war aim and the final solution, properly speaking, of the entire problem is to discriminate against the Igbos and in their own interest. Such discrimination would include, above all, the detachment of those oil-rich territories in the eastern region. You see how they moved our brothers and tell them to answer South-South. This is Swiss Review of Africa, February 1968. So you can, when you read the history, it helps you understand what is going on. So you can better interpret what you're seeing politically. That is why, Calabar will answer Southeast during the time of Gowon, and then the so-called small 5 East Southeastern states will answer South East Central state. East Central. Can you imagine that state? Then the other, and now Cross River is answering South-South, from Southeast to South-South to, and then you have Niger Delta, which they couldn't define. Just give them a name to divide them. So once you're given a name, you are meant to feel different, and then you run with it. It is important that you decipher the intentions of your enemy, the wiles of your enemies, to deceive you and plunder you, which they have succeeded in doing, actually, because the oil blocks that are in all these areas, have been owned by the Northerners mainly, and some Westerners. So these are billions of dollars squandered over the years. And they're not going to leave that anyhow, not even if you don't understand what is happening to you. And here our people are still being divided. Some saying, no, we don't want Biafra. Some saying, okay, you want Nigeria, but this is what you get in Nigeria. Fulani people being in your land to kill you. That's what Nigeria means. We're not saying we don't want Nigeria because we don't just like names. It is what that name implies, what it means. That is what is being rejected here, So what makes Nigeria a sacred place? Look, Soviet Union divided into 16 satellite groups recently in 1991. Sudan, in I think 2011, divided Southern Sudan. Got its freedom and independence. Eritrea also got independence just about around that period as well. In Africa, before the Soviet Union divided into 16 groups, there were Estonia, Latvia, and another country, 3 of them, that were carved out of the Eastern Bloc of the Soviet Union. They gained their independence. These are very small countries, but they gained their independence. So if people can live together, the best thing to do is for them to be separated. Don't force them to live together. And don't force yourself to live together with people who are killing you. It doesn't show that your mind is working properly. It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. It's not a crime to say, I don't want to live with somebody who's killing me. It's not a crime. It's also not a crime to say Biafra, to say I'm a Biafra. It's not a crime to demand for Biafra. It is not a crime. And if it's not a crime, why are you afraid of it? Maybe you're afraid of your killers. Or you have to admit it. You are afraid of those who are killing us all the time. Yeah, because they are killing and nothing is happening to them. They are not never brought to justice. So, and some of these quotes, it's very important that we understand that this is how, where we are coming from as Nigeria. Nigeria has never worked, and it will never work. You know, it will never work. It has never worked. So if it has never worked, why try to force it on others? Why try to force it on everyone? No, people should make their choices. Our political leaders are not carrying us very well, as you can see, because the Fulani knows that they are the ones who are supposed to do it, to demand for us to exit legitimately, you know, go to national assembly. We want to quit. But even if their constitution does not allow you to quit, because they wrote it themselves, they're forgery. So why should we accept that constitution? So our political leaders have been bought. They've been kept simply for this purpose, to keep us down while they are plotting our extermination, you know. So they don't stop. They keep working day and night. So amidst our prayers, which we must engage in seriously, and I mean prayers in a very serious sense, because I'm telling you, even if there is war today and you don't pray, later on you see why you need to pray. Because you're dealing with evil forces, whether you like it or not. These are evil forces. You need God to dislodge those evil forces. But you need to be ready to fight. Stop making it look like you, who is a child of God, that you are a coward, that God breeds cowards. No. God breeds very courageous people. Yeah. There's no reason why the righteous should be afraid of the wicked. Why? Don't be afraid of the wicked. You know, I have another quote here. It says, bestialities and indignities of all kinds were visited on Biafra in 1966 in Ikeja Barracks, Western Nigeria. Biafrans were forcibly fed on a mixture of human urine and feces. Can you believe that? In northern Nigeria, numerous Biafran housewives and nursing mothers were raped before their husbands and children. Young children were abducted from their homes, working places and schools, and forced into section because with sick, demented, and leprous men. This is Eric Speak, German war correspondent, 1966. It is people who behave like this you want to live with in the same country. These people are, you know, you wonder whether they are human beings. That's what you wonder. When the way they kill people. Why does that not bother us? They come to your land and you give them land, they breed cow, you eat their cow, you patronize them. Stop patronizing your killers. It doesn't show that you have an ounce of brain working inside your head. The least you can do is not to patronize your killers. And these are testimonies that are also evident and taken and known to be, they are kept in files. You know, it cannot, so it's undeniable. And like I said, most of them were captured by independent foreign and neutral observers, like journalists, and they are on record. And today they want to repeat the same killings right in our own home. You know, and you can say, oh, well, you know, people will say, well, we go to the north as well. Yes, we don't go there to kill them. We buy their land, we stay and we live legitimate and respect the laws of the land. So we respect the sanctity of their lives. Why must they come to our own and desecrate our land and kill us? So the Fulani is not there to live like a normal person. That's why they must be uprooted from there if we are to survive. Every single Fulani must be uprooted from Igbo land. And I mean Fulani, not other Nigerians. Fulani must be uprooted from Igbo land completely. from Biafra land, not just Biafra land completely, every place they are, if we are to survive as a people. If we don't uproot them, so long does this, so long do we live in fear. So long do we have to deal with this problem. And that is why we need to ask for the division of the act that we are stepping out. We must put pressure on our political leaders to begin to, and not until their lives are even threatened by us. Because how could they be there to be handing us over to our enemies to be killed and exterminated? It is serious. And it's something that we need to really think about. To plunge us into another war where we are at a very great disadvantage. And it's because of this, you are causing trouble now. Because, somebody is asking for justice. They say, he's causing trouble. How can somebody be asking for justice causing trouble? But the person who is violating the victim, the perpetrator of the injustice is not causing trouble. It is the person asking for justice causing trouble. And this is the type of thinking, the mentality our people have, and it becomes a problem to us. Because we think that if we avoid one problem today, that problem will simply go away. It's not coming back. You may avoid it, but it's multiplying somewhere. Later on, it will get to that other place where you went to. Yes. And I've seen life as that, really, that you have to stand up for your right. Stand up for what is right, because that's what the rights are about. What is right? Righteousness. Right. Yes. When we do so, that is how we can push back evil and be able to sustain our peace, sustain our progress and development as a people. So, should our people go through, we've talked about regional groups and so on and so forth working and how they may serve us. For example, different arms and the diaspora that is waking up. I congratulate the diaspora waking up, but be very, ask and inquire, discuss amongst yourself about the proper way to send money so that we don't tell stories any longer more. And that's why I'm advocating town unions. How you can be able to monitor your finances and people will account for it. You have a way to, it doesn't mean everybody has to have the account, but at least the leader of the union, wherever it is, should be able to get the message. The other person in another place will get it. And then we know that things are at least working. That will help people, because once there's confidence established in the system, it will help more people to donate. It will help more people to give money for help towards our security. And like our sister Ozoma said, it is not important for us to, it is, but what I mean is that we should not, the politicians, if they're going to be a blockade, we have to deal with it. Because we cannot going to just stand there and die because they are, afraid of Fulani people. They're afraid of Abuja and so on. No, we have to still do something. So these are things that we need to deliberate amongst ourselves in our meetings, and which I believe is going on even now as I speak in different parts of the world, that deliberate on that and find ways. I believe that God will give you the wisdom to find out ways of tackling this issue. My sister Oziomeme, I'd like you to give us a little bit of commentary before we will gradually come to a close on these issues that we are tackling. 400 and the diaspora. I don't know how the diaspora, are they responding properly to it? What do we think? What should the diaspora be doing now? Should they be going to meetings, talking about it? What should they be doing? Because when all of us sit in places, we act like, it's left for the other person. And when we act like that, then the whole thing eventually will affect us all adversely. Where there is need for unity, Yes, we have individualistic culture, but we shouldn't allow it to work against our very survival as a collective group. Don't allow that to use individualism for your own good so that it can also benefit everybody generally. So individualism should work for collective unity and progress and development. Don't allow individualism to now begin to work against you and your community and your people and so on and so forth. That is wrong. So in an issue, particularly times like this, you have to work with others together. My sister, if you're there, if I can get you. If you're not close by, I'd like to call on Mazi Kedigwe to please give us a commentary or two of what he thinks we should be doing in the diaspora. The contributions that we need to make in the diaspora. What are those contributions?
Okay, thank you, thank you, Mazi, once more. So basically, what the diaspora should be doing is to put a massive media publicity on these killings. Okay, put a massive media publicity on the killings. Make sure that these killings and then also initiate a court process to make sure that those who are responsible for this death are brought to justice. It's very important because they tend to continue this killing because those who have killed before have not been brought to justice. And we know that the Nigerian legal system is not is not top for it to happen right now. So it's better they take it to places like ICC to make sure that those who are responsible for this death, even those who are responsible for the murder of Biafran's rights in 1966, throughout the wartime to be brought to death, I know this thing will stop. But because our people close eye will never really attempted to make sure that those who murdered our people were brought to justice, it kind of gave them the morale to keep killing us, knowing that nothing will actually happen. And that's one thing I really did not like about this present struggle for Biafra, because I thought our first aim, which was the initial plan that we had, was to make sure that those who participated in the murder were brought to justice. At the time, we also tried as much as possible to make sure that those who participated in the massacre was brought to justice. But as of this now, it looks as if those who were responsible never funded that innovation to make sure that the murderers were brought to justice. He has really empowered them. He has really given them the morale. He has really allowed them to push their foot soldiers into our land and giving them the command to go murder these people after all. Nothing will happen because you killed them before and nothing happened. These are what the diasporas must do. Very, very important. Make sure that nobody kills us and goes free about it. Give massive publicity to these killings and the threat in our land. And then make sure that the tools in security circles, we call it granite and bananas. Make sure that they're able to provide those who are in the land or on the land with granite and banana that can be used to free our people, save our people. I think these three things are very, very important. If the diaspora would do it, they would have solved the issue of this threat in our land. But this 85%, it will not be for those of us who are here to complete the 15%. And that would be to actually have something to stand on our ground and say, oh, we'll never allow this people. Because you don't go empty hand to stop a man who is armed from attacking you, okay? And we mustn't make the mistake we made in 1967 where we went in defense without anything. And this beacon, and this is why I really believe our people in our broken too. They have the link. Our people, they're very sophisticated people. So I know they have the link. I know they have the educational know-how. I know they have the intelligence and everything that's needed to make these three things work out. If they do it, it will they would have solved the problem. And I know we all are waiting for them, trusting them, believing in their power, whatever to help, whatever to take. Let them make sure that those who kill our people in the past do not go free. Because if it is because they keep going free, is what's emboldening them to keep sending more of their soldiers to come and kill us. If they are sure that they will kill us, if they kill us and will bring them to justice, they will never try again. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris Ikedigwe, for that analysis. I wanted to, like we've had it, from people, those in diaspora, and how does something work? People usually will ask another person, what should I do? Yeah, the person may not know what to do immediately, but you think yourself, find out ways of doing things. That is how we solve the problem. It's not left for one person to simply know what to do. You can add your own. And then thinking about it, so you need massive publicity again. That is very, very important that we know that. And he mentioned about this idea, they need to defend themselves. They can't defend themselves bare hands. So we must be able to support them with whatever they need to defend themselves as a people. And the issue of our people not taking things seriously, that because when we kill us, we don't do anything. I'd like to share a quote here by General Alexander Madiebo, who was Biafran's army chief. And he says here, in the closing sort of remarks to his book on the Nigerian Revolution and the Biafran War, and he says here, naturally and quite justly too, we got so completely carried away by our total conviction in the justness of our cause and our belief in the existence of a fair and just world conscience that we took it for granted that justice will be done and our rights recognized just by bringing our case to the notice of the world. We therefore made no alternative arrangements or necessary preparations for an armed showdown with Nigeria. By the time we discovered rather belatedly that world conscience is really not that effective in international politics, we were already in serious trouble. I'll read this again. This is Madiebo from the past experience, because there's some people who will say, oh, you haven't told the UN, you haven't told this person, and then you tell him, what does he do? They know what is happening. I'll read it again. It says, quote, naturally and quite justly too, we got so completely carried away by our total conviction in the justness of our cause and our belief in the existence of a fair and just world conscience that we took it for granted that justice will be done and our rights recognized just by bringing our case to the notice of the world. We therefore made no alternative arrangements or necessary preparations for an armed showdown with Nigeria. By the time we discovered rather belatedly that world conscience is really not that effective in international politics, we were already in serious trouble. This is Alexander Madiebo, Chief of Army Staff of Biafra, in page 379 of his book, The Nigerian Revolution and the Biafran War, published in 1981 by the Fourth Dimension Publishers in Enugu, owned by the late Ato Nwankwo. So thank you so much. I think I will come to a roundup of the broadcast of today. I thank my panelists. Chukwueze Kedigwe, thank you for your responses and analysis. And I thank my sister, Oziomeme, and I thank Mazi Ejiofor Chinanwata. Tomorrow, we will be able to broadcast on issues also relating to our own existence as a people and what concerns us. And then from me, Odimo, I'll advise you to pray, watch and pray to God through our Lord Jesus Christ, and be strong, have faith and not fear. But let your trust be in God, but then you have to get up and start doing something, because God does not raise wimps. We have to understand that. The people of God must be strong and upright and uphold righteousness and justice wherever they are. So I enjoin you to please be strong until we broadcast by tomorrow. From me is goodbye and God bless you.
Radio Biafra International, empowering the people.
The more we fight together, 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 the more we fight together, the stronger we shall be. The more we fight together, 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 the more we fight together, and stronger we shall be. Rising soul, rising soul. Biafra is the only hope of Africa. Biafra is the only hope of Africa. Believe it or leave it, Biafra is the only hope of Africa. We've been crying, the world cannot do it. And we've been lamenting, the world cannot do it. Our tears flow, the world cannot see. And our blood flow, the world cannot to see. This is a crime, oh no, against humanity. Oh no, yeah, this is a crime. Eritrea spoke up, they were given independence. South Sudan spoke, they were given independence. Namibia spoke, they were given independence. Give me the reason my people got to be neglected. Give me the reason my people got to be rejected. Give me the reason our freedom got to be a crime. Give me the reason our own freedom got to be denied. Hey, Biafra is the only hope of Africa. I tell you what, Biafra is the only hope of Africa. Hey, Biafra is the only hope of Africa. Believe it or leave it. Oh no. Whoa. That was physical battle, and we're betrayed by the people them trust. Today zeros are fighting. This is a spiritual battle. Let us unite and give Biafra a meaning. If we don't take time, we can remain in this land. No freedom of speech, no freedom of expression, no freedom of worship, no freedom of religion. Justice denied. Oh, Lord, of my own very people. Hey. Justice denied. Hey. On the rising sun. Hey. Justice denied. Oh, my freedom fighter. Yeah. What is so bad? My people wanna be liberated. What is so bad? My people wanna be independent. is so bad when people wanna be alone. This is the time we will make it known to the world. Hey, Biafra is the only hope of Africa. Biafra is the only hope of Africa. Biafra is the only hope of Africa. I tell you what, Biafra is the only hope of Africa. Hospitality, positive education, positive economic, positive hospitality. I tell you what, positive. Biafra is the only hope of Africa. Biafra is the only hope of Africans. I tell you what, Biafra is the only hope of Africa. Hey, Biafra is the only hope of Africa. My people will cry. Biafrans will cry. My people are suffering. Oh, Biafrans are
Radio Biafra is proud to launch its new mobile app. This app makes it easier for listeners to access live and repeat broadcasts at any given time. The app is available on Android and Apple stores and is free to install, so just search for Radio Biafra into all one word to get the app on your device.
Radio Biafra International broadcasts are always anchored on well-researched information and not based on personalities, frivolities, and foul languages. The main objective of Radio Biafra International is to empower Biafrans and give them knowledge through professionally delivered information, education, and enlightenment towards the ultimate goal of restoration of the nation of Biafra.
So don't forget, Radio Biafra into all one word.
And join us during our podcasts, and you'll be glad you did.
Truer words were never spoken. The less you associate with some people, the more your life will improve. Anytime you tolerate mediocrity in others, it increases your mediocrity. An important attribute in successful people is their impatience with negative thinking and negative acting people. As you grow, your associates will change. Some of your friends will not want you to go on. They will want you to stay where they are. Friends that don't help you climb will want you to crawl. Your friends will stretch your vision or choke your dream. Those that don't increase you will eventually decrease you. Consider this. Never receive counsel from unproductive people. Never discuss your problems with someone incapable of contributing to the solution, because those who never succeed themselves are always first to tell you how. Not everyone has a right to speak into your life. You are certain to get the worst of the bargain when you exchange ideas with the wrong person. Don't follow anyone who's not going anywhere. With some people, you spend an evening. With others, you invest it. Be careful where you stop to inquire for directions along the road of life. Wise is the person who fortifies his life with the right friendships. If you run with wolves, you will learn how to howl. But if you associate with eagles, you will learn how to soar to great heights. A mirror reflects a man's face, but what he is really like is shown by the kind of friends he chooses. The simple but true fact of life is that you become like those with whom you closely associate, for the good and the bad. Note, be not mistaken. This is applicable to family as well as friends. Yes, do love, appreciate, and be thankful for your family, for they will always be your family, no matter what. Just know that they are human first, and though they are family to you, they may be a friend to someone else and will fit somewhere in the criteria above. In prosperity, our friends know us. In adversity, we know our friends. Never make someone a priority when you are only an option for them. If you are going to achieve excellence in big things, you develop the habit in little matters. Excellence is not an exception, it is a prevailing attitude.
When I get excited and my heart's delighted and the Spirit comes over me, I know there is no doubt you're gonna hear me shout, I'm feeling the victory. And if it bothers you that what I say is true, you better cancel your plans for heaven, 'cause I'll be there, shouting everywhere my sins have been forgiven. I'm gonna shout all over heaven, what a day it's gonna be. Gonna sing, oh, sing the bass. We'll sing the harmony. Our fans walk down in the streets of gold, in the golden avenue, and clap my hands and praise the Lord and shout all over heaven. I'm gonna shout all over heaven, what a day it's gonna be. Gonna sing, oh, sing the bass. We'll sing the harmony. Our fans walk down in the streets of gold, in the golden avenue, and clap my hands and praise the Lord and shout all over heaven. When I hear the word and my heart is tear to tear, joy comes to my eyes. It doesn't bother me if the tears you see are happy man am I. I know the Lord above is looking down in love. He's watching everything I do. And some sweet day I'll be shouting everywhere while sailing through the blue. I'm gonna shout all over heaven, what a day it's gonna be. Gonna sing, I'll sing the bass. We'll sing the harmony. Our first walk down in the streets of gold, in the golden avenue, and clap my hands and praise the Lord and shout all over heaven. I'm gonna shout all over heaven, what a day it's gonna be. Gonna sing, oh, sing the bass. We'll sing the harmony. I'll first walk down in the streets of gold, in the golden avenue, and clap my hands and praise the Lord and shout all over heaven. I'm gonna shout all over heaven, what a day it's gonna be. Gonna sing, we'll sing the harmony. I'll first walk down in the streets of gold, in the golden avenue, and clap my hands and praise the Lord and shout.
Radio Biafra International, empowering the people.